Kenobi has hit Disney Plus with both episodes 1 and 2. And some people are saying that Netflix's Stranger Things is doing better, which is cool. Good for them. But we're here to discuss Kenobi, starting with, of course, what we did not like. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and start us out once again? We'll do a Chris double feature this show with what we did not like.
It's actually a tough question to answer because we're 2 episodes in. And a lot of what troubled me about the first 2 episodes was just that I'm worried. I'm worried about whether where Star Wars is going overall. So I because there's been a lot of things I haven't liked, let's say in the last 10 years. So I'm kind of stepping into the show with that trepidation. Like, okay, I'm gaffing on names because I've had a long week.
Everyone does it.
But not to. I don't know how much we should go into spoilers here.
Oh, it's
all the way.
So the thing is
100%.
with us,
It
it's
comes
going
out
to depend on the
next episode
subject
comes out
matter.
in 2
With
days.
shows like this that are weekly, even if we spoil it, it gives people time to catch up. And giving spoilers, really what we do in the service we provide on with our reviews is that people who are skeptical but don't want to make the time to watch the first couple episodes, we can give them an overview even with spoilers, and that might convince them, oh, you know what, I'm going to give this thing a try. And since we do like to promote products that we like, which, speaking for myself, of course, I do like Kenobi so far, but I agree, there is some cautious optimism to be had there. So go ahead. All spoilers when shows are running are on the table. Because we're not going to be able to spoil anything for the next few episodes unless somebody has, leaks or stuff, which, if you do, keep it to yourself. Please.
Because I think there's more I liked about it than I didn't. That's why it's a little hard for me to lead with what I didn't. But I will say, and this will probably get into a more of a conversation if you all want to have it, because it's the one that spent the most time in my head, is at the end of episode 2, where Reva sticks the lightsaber through the Grand Inquisitor, and I just kind of, give me a lot to think about, because I've watched Rebels 3 times through, and the Grand Inquisitor is very much alive in Rebels, and I'm sure that as a show that is being watched, I mean, obviously they got a young Leia in their show. They are, they intend for a younger audience as well as an older audience to watch it. There's a lot of Rebels fans who are watching this show are probably thinking the same thing in that moment. It's like, what is even, and then it, the logical brain in me was like, okay, so he's not dead. It's just, he's going to be back alive in episode 3, and now he's going to hunt Reva, and she's going to get pushed to the light side because now she's getting hunted. And I thought about how am I going to feel about that being the way the plot works out. Will I be satisfied by that being the plot arc? And honestly, I don't know. I actually really liked the Grand Inquisitor, the actor playing him, and and part of me, I was thinking to myself, I'd just be really satisfied if he was the main villain of this show. And I don't hate Reva, but I'm not really I don't know if I want to spend the 6 episodes watching her turn to the light side. And maybe that won't happen. But it gave me a lot to think about. And are they changing the canon? What does it mean? It's completely, what if the Grand Inquisitor is dead? So.
Yeah. And I'm not so sure. We'll see what tomorrow's episode brings. But I'm not so sure that he is dead, because a stab wound in Star Wars doesn't necessarily always mean death. We've seen people come back from worse. We've also seen people die from less. So death just seems to be an abstract in the Star Wars universe. But John, why don't you go ahead with your negative thoughts, or just overall negative opinion towards Kenobi? What did you not like? And guys, we don't have to stretch these segments out to any particular time. If what we did not like sums up to the camera angles in frame 5,225 were terrible, fine. If that's all we have for negative discussion, great. That's not a bad thing. but we are here to give honest and fair takes. And so, yes, if there is, even if just one of you, and especially even in the chat, it just has some bad things you want to say about it, fine, go ahead. But you don't feel like you have to. If you don't, like, it's like when we did the book last week. I had to set it to general discussion because there was nothing about Forever War that I hated. So, but go with that. John, what did you not like about Kenobi, or what do you feel kind of about?
So, the biggest thing I feel more and more nervous about is the future, because like the first episode it's phenomenal. It tracks to me in all the ways that it should. Obviously the pacing was a little slow, but I feel like it was a pretty dense introduction. But then just a lot of people's commentary and a lot of people that seem like really into the lore and really into like the understanding of what either should or shouldn't happen and like what is happening based off of what they understand and what they've read. A lot of people make it seem like it's going to be this, push for Reba to become light side. And my only hope in that instance is that Reva's been faking it the whole time. Like the reason she's so dark is because she has to act super dark. Like we have yet to actually see her kill anybody except for put the blade through the Inquisitor, and so maybe the main reason she's hunting Obi-Wan is because she knows him. I don't know if a lot of people know that there was this book that was about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn's experience before Naboo, before their first mission on Naboo. And in that experience, Obi-Wan helps out another Force-sensitive kid, and Qui-Gon Jinn take him and Obi-Wan back to the academy, and then they're like sent out on their next mission. But the Force-sensitive kid that they helped always wanted to go home and help her people. And so I get the vibe that like the gutter trash moment actually has a lot to do with that story. Is that she may be the Force-sensitive kid that Obi-Wan helped out, and that she is now old enough to catch up. She's a little young, comparatively, obviously. But that's the kind of like vibe I'm getting from her. But again, like as far as things I did this
Force-sensitive kid, did they return her back to her family?
No, so the reason that the whole book read a lot.
She still could be that little girl at the opening scene then, that the youngling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. No, so that's what happens. They take her. It's like a very much like an Anakin situation, but this time she actually is young enough. But she's not even the main character that gets helped. I want to say she's the younger sister of the main character that Obi-Wan spends all his time with. But the big thing is that like the gutter trash stuff is like really canonical to that story in the sense that like they literally lived in a world where like the dystopia was the poor lived in the gutter and cleaned the gutter for the rich. And so that like comment kind of gave me those vibes. But the real thing that I'm getting from her is that she is a pitch perfect Sith. She knows that Vader is the ultimate Sith. Everybody that I've heard a lot about, actually I'll just wait for when we get to the next part before I go into all that stuff.
Yeah, was there anything though that you want to just touch on that you didn't like, or are you satisfied?
Yeah,
overall?
as far as things I didn't like, I didn't like that Obi-Wan wasn't he didn't like leave any backup for Luke. He just trusted that Owen was good enough. I felt like that seemed a little negligent and out of character for him, but other than that, like, yeah, there's a lot I did like.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, if there's only one or two things, or if you guys don't want to speak on anything you don't like on anything we discussed, that is perfectly acceptable.
Oh.
This is just a formula we're doing to get the negative stuff out first, if there's any, and then we come back and see, all right, what do we like?
One thing I didn't like is the lack of emotional connection to the situation at hand from Princess Leia. During the time when blaster fire is going on, she's running like she's afraid, but she's also running very much like she knows what she's doing. And that seemed a little fake for somebody's first time in this reckless of a city.
All right, Brandon, anything you did not like about Kenobi? I mean, I know you seem excited. I'm just wondering if there's anything at all that stands out.
There was, but and I'll try to say it in a way that works, but like my brain's very much like it bounces a lot when I have thoughts. So like a lot of the things, like it kind of refers to conversation we had a little bit ago earlier before about someone we watched, me and John specifically watched, and like things that they would say that like it's like there are things I disliked, but then there was things in relation to those things I liked, or at least I could give a certain level of like leeway of like whatever. Though I have had one question ever since I heard, and Chris mentioned it. I was curious where the Rebel series falls in line with this show, before or after.
Yes.
During, actually.
Yeah.
It's during.
That's why I said yes.
Okay. Because I was curious about that because I've never properly watched Rebels. I just know like a bunch of story beats from it. So I never actually knew what time frame it drops into. So that's interesting, to say the least. I do have thoughts I'll mention maybe when we talk about the good stuff that I think possibilities in relations to her, as well as the Grand Inquisitor, and where that could be going, because I have thoughts for that. That's not necessarily bad or good. Let me get my brain here. So like a lot of the first episode I didn't have too many issues with. I actually really liked some of the things, especially with like kind of how they were portraying Obi-Wan as made it very clear he's actively trying to blend in, and with his previous experiences, he, unlike some Jedi, I to me, out of a lot of the Jedi, especially from the prequels, if you will, because in timeline, it would make sense to me that out of a lot of the ones we saw, Obi-Wan would be one that has the potential to ignore things with the understanding of like, if I don't ignore it, that will lead to more death and problems, versus if I just keep my mouth shut right now and move forward. Sometimes you have to, because there was times where he did things that was a little toeing the line with what he technically should have been doing, which I think has to do with the Qui-Gon influence. So like there's a lot of things in the first episode I kind of liked. It was slow, but I didn't dislike that, because like John said, that there's a lot. It's slow, but there's a lot that kind of is being told in that, and that they convey across the episode. So like I can kind of work with especially in like the first couple episodes, like a first slow. I always treat pilots as their own kind of thing, because they're a pilot episode. You have to convey a lot of information.
Yeah. And I'll just add on to what you're saying there real quick. I don't really. It's a hard line for me to cross at times when it comes to pacing, because people have gotten used to fast-paced bullshit, and there's a time and a place for that, like an Avengers movie, and then there's a time and a place for the slow burn. And it's I'm gonna give credit to a product that I don't like, which is the first season of Picard. I actually liked the slow burn with the first 3 episodes to just kind of set everything and get the mood going. I think that there is a time, and Star Trek the Motion Picture, same thing. It's slow movie, not super exciting in the grand scheme, but I think it's one of the best movies, not just best Star Trek, but one of the best sci-fi films of all time. And so there is a logic to having a slower pace in the process. And so yes, I agree with you. It's not super exciting, but you know what? There's plenty of other Star Wars products for super exciting. Not every Star Wars story needs to be, Star Wars. We can have...
Not to mention the start of the story isn't exciting. Like, they even tried to add in a little sprinkle of excitement. Right? I am really disappointed that, like, they shit on pretty much every person's favorite meme, which is Anakin just ganking the younglings. But I think at the same
That's a
time,
retcon
like,
I welcome.
well, yeah, exactly. Like, why would you ruin that in the first scene of Kenobi? That was Anakin's truest form as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But
So,
at the same time,
anyway,
like, it was slow, but it was absolutely necessary because it was supposed to be a slow start.
yeah. So Brandon, any other
mean-
negative thoughts before we skip over Curio?
Yeah. I thought for sure he was about to get ambushed when he ran into the, I don't know if I can call him a Jedi or not, the possibly grown-up Padawan / Jedi dude that you really don't know anything other than he's supposed to be some form of Jedi. I thought for sure that when he interacted with him in the middle of the night in the desert that was supposed to be a trap and that they were about to get jumped. Maybe that says something about me two shows in a row, or maybe that was residual feelings from because I watched that directly following Star Trek, so maybe that was just still my scope of mind. I don't know, but like it was super dark. There was a bunch of movement. I was like, are they about to? Is he about to get jumped by someone? Like what was going? And then that guy showed up, and I was like, oh, this is a trap. This is a trap all day. And it wasn't. It was just a genuine moment of like, I need your help. And he's like, you need to go bury your head in the sand and hide. But that was kind of it. Like the first episode, I didn't have anything I particularly disliked. I really liked the first episode. Like, even if it potentially does some weird things with canon, like individually by itself, I did like it. Most things that could be disliked would have been in the second episode. Definitely a few things that were a little bit of like gimmies. I even though a lot of people disliked it, I liked that, or no, that's a like thing. I shouldn't go down that road. My brain sucks sometimes. Like, he gets given the drugs by the girl on the street, where I can definitely have no issue with a random chick offering a dude drugs, because I've been to Vegas before. That is a real thing. Commenting on something from the video me and John watched where someone made a comment like, that doesn't happen. Like, yes, it does in the right places. People just come up to you and be like, you got some crack? Like that's a real thing.
I've been approached multiple times on the same walk to my car in San Francisco. It happens.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
like,
everywhere.
Hey guys, the girl that, by the way, that actress who was the dust dealer, is a major deep cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yeah. Which is super cool.
And super just messed up because she said my dad left me here.
It's also Alec Guinness's something like niece or something like that. Like, she's got like 3 levels of connection to Star Wars.
That's pretty wild. I will say, the little boy who overhears him, that's a little, like, it's a thing of like, well, considering he's probably in the shady area, considering he was approached by someone just trying to sell him dust, and the business that the kid's in with the fake Jedi, like, that makes sense to a degree, but also it's, weirdly perfect placing, but that happens in movies a lot, so like I can't say too much against it.
The thing I've heard about a lot is like people are like, well, he's pretending to be a Jedi, so like, isn't he gonna get caught, right? But like, I bet you he's been caught 100 times, and they just go, "Oh, he's faking it. Give us half or all your profits this time," and then he goes back to doing it again tomorrow. Like, the Sith aren't gonna, narc on anybody doing the wrong thing as long as they're not actually force sensitive. So like, I feel like this has been a run. Yeah, and not to mention he's working with the gate guards. Like, he's like, hey, look, we're gonna charge these people everything and get them out of here.
Yeah, it's
and you're gonna get some of it. And he's like, yeah, otherwise I get base pay.
Yeah, like the fake Jedi, I took the least amount of. I shouldn't say the least. I didn't take too many issue with it. I thought it was amusing. At first, I was like, is this dude really supposed to be a Jedi? Like, are you trying to convince me that this is a real Jedi? Because if you do, I hate you. And I'm going to hate you for doing this. And then it very quickly becomes clear, like, oh, no, dude, this guy's running a Ponzi scam oh no, I now like this character because this is a thing I could in these times. This is a thing I see happening. This is something I get. Like you got me now.
It felt 100% real, and it
Oh,
also
yeah.
felt exactly like what the actor who played him would actually do in that world, in that instance.
I was actually hoping that he was a Jedi, honestly.
Oh
Because,
no,
because no, it would
I
have
would've
made
been upset.
sense because it's the dark time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get into that in a second. Corione, why don't you go ahead and share what you did not like? Unless Brandon, there's anything else you wanted to add on real quick. Otherwise, I think most people are excited to get to the follow-up.
Yeah, I'm too
segment here.
flippant.
Okay, so I only really had 2 issues, and both of them, to be perfectly honest, are kind of they're nitpicky, and I think they're going to be fixed long term. The first one is the abduction of Leia. It happens. It's like the slowest chase scene ever, and that's saying something considering Book of Boba Fett, because like she's jogging away like a little kid who's being chased by her dad, like oh, catch me, right? And the weirdest part was these guys are kind of playing along with it, like they're not running at like a real adult pace.
Well, no, see, I got something to that. Like, one of the biggest things, it did do a pretty good like fix of itself. Like, if you actually look at where they're running into when it would zoom out to their backs, it's like, oh, she's dodging into these really tiny nooks and crannies. But what they're doing is the exact thing you do when you're trying to wrangle a hog, corner it.
Yeah.
And that's what they end up doing, like, perfectly. Because like when you're wrangling something in the woods, it can go left, right, or backwards forever. And obviously, like, there was a display of her understanding of the woods. They were like, she always runs there.
I mean, to be
so she has
perfectly
knowledge.
Honest, yeah, to be perfectly honest, they could have saved that scene entirely by putting in a throwaway line of like, we have to watch how quickly we move through here or it sets off alarms, right? That could have fixed the whole thing for me right then and there. Okay.
I will agree with you. When she's dodging through, there's a moment that I think it's the female captor is running behind her, and Leia ducks below this like chest level branch, and the girl comes around the corner, and it's not like she turns into the branch. She turns, then continues to run forward, and instead of ducking below this branch, just continues to run. I'm like, you had so much time. That branch started off like 7 feet away from you.
Well, no, see, she didn't like fall over on the branch there. She slapped it. Like, she was very intentionally wrangling the hog, like running up on it so it didn't go left, it didn't go right, it kept going forward. And then she slaps it, runs around, and then corners her on the left. Like, there was a very clear thing
like
they
I
were
said,
doing, wrangling a 10-year-old.
It's nitpicky. I'm not saying that it's something that couldn't be overlooked, but it was there.
It was believable when she got into the obstacles. Like, once a kid has like trees and stuff to dodge, that's when I was like, okay, this is what you should have opened with and left it at. Otherwise, I agree with you, Corione. But what's the last one?
And the last one is our third sister Inquisitor here. Look, if I'm gonna cast a Sith character that I want everyone to understand is either a Sith or what I'm gonna use as the term Sith-alike. I want somebody who is going to put take out some salt, take out some pepper, and just make a meal of the scenery. I want them like over the top, mustache twirling nonsense. I want it to sound like a Shakespearean level villain I'm dealing with here. And I really didn't get that from the character. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not sure where the problem is there. Because that could have very easily been a direction choice. That could have been the actor's choice. Or it could have been some sort of weird combination of just the way that they had to edit things together. I'm not 100% sure where I'm getting it from, that she just didn't seem to have that. Now, I have to believe that if you're going to get cast in a Star Wars anything, you do an audition. And I have to believe that if I think, hey, let's get somebody who's really going to chew on the scenery and just like be an over-the-top malevolent bad dude, we want to have somebody who fits that. So I feel like she's going to be really, really good in a scene coming up that we haven't seen yet. But the scenes that we've seen her in so far, she feels weak to me. And like I said, it may be the actor, it may be the direction, it may be the way it was edited. I don't know which. Awesome, Kitty. But that's just where I felt the weakness of the episode was.
What way do you mean weak? Weak in expression or weak in
Just in her
display?
emoting, the way she spoke her lines, it felt kind of stilted. Like,
Yeah, the very first line she ever speaks, it's so muffled out compared to all the lines before it. I had to turn my head and I was like, wow. Did you re-record that maybe?
Yeah. Midweek Progress, welcome to the discussion. Glad to have you here. Says, agreed, not sure where it's coming from, but whatever the case, the actress doesn't seem very strong. And
exactly.
yeah, and we'll see. We'll see. We've got time. The thing is, the first couple episodes actually do follow in line with the first couple of scenes of a shoot. And that is, it can take a couple of takes and even a few scenes to have wrapped up before you find your strength. And so it's possible that, this happens often in the film industry. Somebody nails it in the audition.
My big question isn't so much about the literal feeling of weakness. I'm questioning, like you guys did say, like you're not exactly sure where it's coming from, but I'm wondering what exactly the parts, the muffled one, makes sense. But
what
are there other?
What can happen is you can kill the audition, but once you start shooting, then the nerves come back. Then all of a sudden, it's live. It's time to go.
That's that's why I'm asking these questions, is because I want to know what you guys felt, because there were certain points that I hear a lot of people talk about on their reviews, and I'm like, no, those felt exactly like would happen in that situation.
Okay, so the stuff that I felt just didn't execute well was when she was talking to I think it's the second brother, the dude with the hat.
Liu Kang.
Right. Yeah,
Dude,
Liu Kang.
yes.
Yeah, Space Liu Kang. My issue with so he's talking like they have literally grown up together. And she seems to be talking to him in a very formal, again, very stilted kind of manner. And I'm again, it could have been the editing, it could have been that they just picked a weird take, I don't know. But it didn't gel. She didn't gel with this person. It didn't feel like, yeah, we grew up together, but I'm still going to try to get ahead of you in the game. Right?
Wait, okay, I feel like people are...
I
feel like that's a misrepresentation of their relationships, because the whole brother numbering thing, that's the number of people that came before them.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
She's third sister. That means that there were two other sisters, and now she's the third one.
Okay.
So failures, and so that I think is where I don't remember. I thought it was fifth brother.
Okay, so
somewhere. Yeah. So Liu Kang's character, he's been around the gig for a while, and third sister is she very much comes off as the newest operative in the operation.
Young,
yeah, and I got that feeling too. Like they were maybe directing her to come off as feeling under the others, and they even mentioned that in the second episode. It's like, you are under us. And I did feel maybe she was trying to act like she had when a person has that lack of confidence, they will they will not act with they won't be forward, and
their confidence is even weird. And I think that's what she really portrayed, is that she very much is the newest member, but of the Sith team. And so as a member of the Sith team, you're always supposed to be showing why you're supposed to be number one. And she very much feels like she's acting like a brand new, arrogant, self-righteous genius.
I was gonna say arrogance
yeah.
was the word that I always came to.
But-
She to me
But
struck
that
me
I
as the
think is
type
what
that's
they're
confident
actually
in her own
trying to
ability.
portray. Like I
Well,
really
yeah,
felt
and that's-
like
and
she
that's fair.
accurately portrayed all of
I'm-
those traits,
I'm
and that's
definitely
what
not
this
disputing
young
that.
rookie is supposed to be.
Okay, but at the same time, we have one character who's completely tonally different in his communication than the other character in the scene. And in order for even
It shows that she's new to the team. Like
Okay,
that
but-
really displays how rookie she is. How
Okay,
like
I
this
agree with
may
both
be
of you,
her
honestly.
first join on the
Right?
team.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also didn't get
No,
the
like, yeah, I
feeling
don't
from
actually
him.
think you're wrong in any way. That's what I'm saying is like I
that,
think the weakness was meant to be portrayed. It was more of like an actual non-verbal communication to the group that like
right,
hey,
but
this
my
is
my
not good.
issue is even if that's the case, even if it was supposed to be portrayed that way, it didn't succeed in making me feel that the character was being portrayed in a way that I was believing in it. Again, I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong or right. This is just how I felt about it, that it didn't work for me in this case. I personally think it's entirely possible that this was an editing issue, that they picked the best scenes that this character interacted with, and they didn't base it on her interactions, they based it on the other characters' interactions, and said, like, this is the best take we got from Liu Kang, we're using this. Right?
I
Man,
I feel like that's definitely possible, but at the same time, I kind of like I don't know if you're definitely talking about the hand cutting off moment, but to
not
me,
necessarily.
okay, I was getting the vibe you were because that one in that moment
thought
where
it
she
was
talks to
post
Liu
that.
Kang, it really felt that like there's this new credence from the Empire of hearts and minds. Right,
Mhm.
because like even though they are the Sith Empire, they're trying to be the Galactic Empire as well. So they can't be all hearts and heads; they have to be hearts and minds. And so, I think that's like really that goes to show Reva's rookiness as an Inquisitor is that like she's still hearts and heads. She's like, I'm going to stab them in the chest and cut their head off. Like that's all I do. That's what a Sith is supposed to do. I'm gonna be just like Vader, even though she doesn't know who Vader is. She's heard of him. Like
Yeah.
and that to me was like kind of her inspiration. It's like this whole Kenobi thing is like she learned about it in basic training.
Yeah,
Now she's in the fleet. Now
she's
she wants to
definitely-
make her mark.
So the Inquisitors could best be described as basically lapdogs for the Sith. They are given only a certain amount of power. They only allowed a certain amount of leeway, so to speak. But ultimately, they are not technically Sith. However,
Well, see,
she
I've
is
been getting
definitely
mixed reviews for that.
what?
It seems like they are a version of Sith Guard in terms of like a special operations team. Their job is to assassinate and infiltrate.
They're a lesser Sith. They're basically meant to go do the dirty work that Vader doesn't feel like doing. It's basically it's a very basic way to describe them, but that's kind of how the hierarchy is. They will never be recognized as Sith. They will never be an apprentice. But that's what
Right,
she
because-
wants. She
Well,
wants
guys,
to be a Sith Lord.
I've got the perfect analogy for them. We all did slow horses.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh, there you
MI6's dogs.
Yeah,
They're
they're
the
basically
That's
the Sith
exactly
Slough House.
exactly that's exactly what I was thinking for them is like
And
a
sh-
version of Sith Navy SEALs because like they do seem to abide by a lot of the code, and it really felt like that's what Liu Kang's character was trying to do. Like there's gonna be a reward. Like he wasn't like, or else we kill the family. He was like, no, there's a reward. Like incentivize these people, idiot. Like we got to win them to our side. The Empire is now in charge, not taking charge. We are in charge. We help
like,
our citizens.
Am I the only one that feels like the third sister's about to be sent to Slough House? Like,
Yeah.
So
I get
I think
weird vibes.
and this kind of comes back to my thoughts on the third sister and the Grand Inquisitor. My thoughts were like everyone's like they're gonna try and make her good. My thought genuinely was more the direction of like he's not dead. He's gonna be gone for a little while to let everyone believe he's dead. They'll bring him up later on, and what's gonna culminate instead of her turning to the light side, however you want to phrase that, Instead, because the Inquisitors are very much like you guys are saying on this path of like, we need to do this job we're doing and convince the people to like us at the same time, and like that you benefit yourself by helping us. And so they're on this task, and meanwhile she's like, I'm on this power grabbing warpath and I have the abilities to back it up. And so the arrogance is pushing through. So I think it's going to be the creating your own death trap. She's gonna cause, basically build things up, and it's all gonna collapse at the same time.
And we're gonna have to finish the conversation on the specifics of the Inquisitor with that for now, because we do have 4 more episodes to get through. However, I do want to make sure that we do get to the segment of what we did like. And I don't have a lot to say of what I didn't like, because I pretty much agree with a lot of what you guys, the points you made, but I don't have time to get into my specifics. But I also want to like this show. I'll be honest, full disclosure, I am rooting for it to be a success. I'm not sitting here, oh, I hope it fails. No. We actually we really don't do that here on the Writer Brothers. We want to watch good shows, and if we don't like something, we'll probably do 1 episode. For example, our Halo review. That's the only time we talked about Halo in depth. That's the only time we are probably ever going to talk about Halo in depth. If you don't like something, don't watch it. That's the best advice that I can give anybody right now who's watching this now or hearing the recording. If you don't like it and you want to send a clear and concise message, don't watch it, don't talk about it, move on. Because these guys, they do thrive off of the negative reviews as well. They love the negativity as well, because to them, it's like we're affecting you in some way. That's how they see it, and it's
bad news sells.
Yeah, there's another pop culture enthusiast out there, RM Briggs, who's on Clobberin' Times channel, which is another good channel to check out. We'll give him a proper promo in the future. She has said it's like, I can't remember exactly what her words were, but it's something like, it's like a negative emotions economy or something along those lines. She phrased it better. I wish I had remembered exactly what episode she said it in, and I should have clipped it, because that was a great point that she makes about how they thrive on the negative reviews that a lot of people do. Well, we're just not going to participate in that. I mean, we'll give our feedback honestly and truthfully, and if we do like something or don't like something, as you have seen with our graphics, that's what we're going to give you here at the Writer Brothers. And we're not always going to be in agreement on things. There's stuff that some of us might not like or do like that we want to promote, and so it's going to vary from show to show. With that said, I do want to touch on what I absolutely love about this show and what it's done. Now, Corione and I have talked about this, and I'm going to let him build on my point the same way that he did when we talked about it in private. And so I'm just going to reiterate my stance on it. A lot of kids in John and I's and Brandon's generation, and Chris would assume, and Corione, maybe yours, actually, yeah, you guys too. Basically anyone who went and fought overseas more or less grew up watching Kenobi in the prequel trilogy. And whether you were a young kid like we were, or I believe you guys were probably... How old were you guys when episode 1 came out? If you don't mind telling the world.
Tell me when the episode came out.
99?
I was old when the world was young, so...
14?
Okay.
I mean, I watched episode 2 many, 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 many times.
So we've all had... In one way or another, we've all connected with Obi-Wan at one point or another. For me, he's always been my favorite Jedi Master of them all. He's the reason why I switched my lightsaber color from yellow to blue. Yellow being my favorite color, blue being my preferred Jedi color, because I really feel like a Jedi Guardian most of the time. I technically was a Guardian for 9 years. And I don't care what they say. Coast Guardsman is the stupidest thing they ever came up with. Anyway... The reason I'm bringing up military history and everything else is because
that sounds like custodian.
A lot of kids in our generation grew up watching Obi-Wan. And now those kids that especially went into combat zones, who came back and suffered PTSD, are now going to have this character to relate to when it comes to the hardship of loss. And I think that is a tremendous opportunity that's been presented. And of course, it's going to depend on the overall execution of the show. A lot of commentators have expressed their fear about this resembling The Last Jedi. And I will all be honest, you're not entirely incorrect with that assessment. However, we already know what happens to Obi-Wan. We already know, and yeah, spoiler alert in episode 4, so he's going to live through this series, guys. I know, shocker. We know what he becomes. What a lot of people don't understand is that the strongest person in the room, especially during times of hardship, is not always the strongest person you remember. They might put on a face in front of you. They might put on a face in front of the camera. But they're feeling the same pain that you are through whatever hardship it is. And so with Obi-Wan, here we are seeing what he went through. He's lost his family. He's lost his religion, essentially. The REM song, I think, is perfect for Kenobi. He's lost his faith. And he knows what he has to do. He just doesn't think he has the strength to do it. And that's what we are being shown in this series. We are being shown how he becomes the man we see in episode 4. How he gets his resolve back. You know, he wasn't wanting to stay and just watch Luke because that's what his mission is. He wanted to stay and watch Luke because he didn't think he could, because he thinks he's done. He thinks he's, at this point in time in this show, he thinks it's over for him. He doesn't see, all he can think about, all he can do is have the nightmares of the failure and what he should have done better. And so I think in a lot of ways that can relate to a lot of soldiers that went and suffered through that. Now they have their one of their favorite Jedi characters that's literally going through the same thing. And now they can see one of their heroes, someone they always looked up to, have to go through a similar trial and a similar hardship. And I think that is probably one of the best things. And Corione, I think you have an eloquent way of adding on from what I'm saying here. So please go right ahead.
Yeah, so I do cover a lot of this in my video, so please check it out. But
yes, absolutely. John, put the link to his latest video in the chat, please.
But I will say this. Look, in the last movie where we see Obi-Wan, he's lost his family. He's lost all of his friends. He's lost the world he knows. And then after all that loss, he had to go to some strange planet and kill the boy he raised, who he's treated like a brother for a long period of time. I can't imagine the pain and suffering that all of that loss, and then having to go and murder the one person you have left that you care about, right? Because as far as he's aware, as far as he's concerned, that's what happened, right? The last time he used the Force, the last time he used those combat instincts, those military instincts that we've, all had to train for, he used those to kill the person he loved as a brother. So it's no wonder he shut himself off from the Force. It's no longer wonder he shut himself off from his day-to-day life. He picked the most monotonous, basic, straightforward, going through the motions he possibly could, so he wouldn't have to confront that pain, that trauma. Because he knew that if he opened that box, he'd really just start crying and wouldn't be able to stop. And I think anybody who's seen combat can relate to that in some level. And having Leia show up in his life and be so much like Padme, so much like his sister-in-law, because he knew they were married, right? So this is his adoptive sister-in-law, and he's seeing that girl basically be a little Padme, and it's bringing him back. It's bringing him back to the realization of, I'm still needed here. I still have a purpose. I don't have to just go through the motions because people need me. And that's a very powerful motivator to move forward in one's life, is being needed. And yeah, it took Bail Organa kicking him in the butt to get him out the door to get
Quite
going.
literally.
Well,
But-
I think that's a misconception. It wasn't so much Bail Organa kicking him in the butt; it was Bail Organa forgiving him.
That too.
because there's a lot of that, like, I feel like I'm personally responsible for literally raising the death of the Jedi. And then
Right.
Bail goes, dude, none of us saw this coming. It's not your fault. You gotta take that burden off yourself.
Right, but
And then, like,
and-
that's not so much a kick in the butt as it is a forgiveness, and then a, like, pick yourself up.
yeah,
You know,
there-
he needed somebody to relieve him of his burden.
and I think he also has a lot of survivor guilt too, right? Because as far as he's aware, for a good long while, it's him and Yoda were the only survivors, right?
Well, and not to mention, like, even when he meets this kid, a lot of people say it's super cruel that, like, he tells him to quit the fight, go live a normal life, and it's like,
No,
no,
he's
as
trying
far
to
as
save him.
Yeah, there is no other option. Like, being a Jedi, like, there's a lot of things about being a Jedi that are great.
Yep.
And you can, like, adhere to them, but, like, you can't be Superman in a world that is literally hunting you. You have to be normal, man.
Even just
That's
consider
your
this.
new.
Even just consider this. I 100% believe that if Obi-Wan had a ship stashed away somewhere in the desert, like it was just like buried under the sand or whatever, he would have 100%
Well, the Jawa,
said,
the
Well,
Jawa said they broke it. They found it.
right. Well, I'm just saying if he had that ship lying around, I 100% believe he would have taken the kid and said, "This is the coordinates to my ship. Unbury it, get on it, go to any other planet in the galaxy, and just go to ground. You know, become a construction worker. You know, go break down Imperial starships like a certain young Cal Kestis was doing in Fallen Order. Like whatever." But he can't, because when you think about it, he can't have the Jedi here. He can't
Right.
let him know why he can't have the Jedi here, because they do have the capability to read people's minds. He can't actually admit to being Obi-Wan because, again, they can read people's minds. And he's trying to, at the same time, still try to save this kid.
Yeah,
and
he
try
has
to
to be
save him from
cold, but he's
himself.
very specific. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He's trying to save him from himself. Like, dude, yes, I get the code, but hang the code.
His
Yeah,
his,
I was totally okay with his portrayal in that scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
first
But
and
also,
fo-
like, he's
his
a
first-
general versus a teenager.
Yeah,
You know,
his-
like,
his
he's a
first
hardened.
his first and
retired
only
general.
duty is Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
He is, and the safety and protection of
Exactly.
Luke is his primary
Yeah,
responsibility.
so he's not even
So-
retired. He's an active duty 60-year-old general. You know, 50, I think, because he's 60 in the
Right,
A New
but he
Hope.
only
Like-
has one mission, and that's to keep Luke a secret. Which now I'm noticing a plot hole, kind of by necessity. Unfortunately, like they should have changed his last name.
see,
But
I already know that. See, there's the plot hole that people like are mentioning, and that's the thing that, like, how is he hiding him from Anakin on Tatooine? And it's because he thought Anakin was dead, but Anakin has been told for sure and confirmed by the Emperor, Padme and the children died.
Mm-hmm. And
So
why?
the reason why nobody's looking for Luke and Leia is because they're dead. But Organa and Kenobi's relationship is too close, and that's why they couldn't call in the military. I've watched this like 4 times, and I literally read the script today, like line by line. It says the reason they called Kenobi is because they cannot bring any suspicion on her relationship to them.
all right, real
Because
quick,
anybody will
Brandon,
trade any information to the Empire.
Brandon, what did you like? You were excited to talk about this. We will be talking about it, of course, next week. But let's try to get some more positive
I
thoughts
mean-
from Brandon and Chris, real quick, to close us out.
I liked quite a bit. I mean, it wasn't perfect, obviously, but I mean, I don't expect perfection, especially with, you know, some of what we have gotten. I really liked the first episode. I'm curious how, like, there's one point I've heard made in regards to the Rebel series and Kenobi, like, very suavely just dispatching Darth Maul, but also having taken in Rebels, and then also taking this huge break across these 10 years, even though in theory he's supposed to have been training. I'm curious to see how they, if or how they try to deal with that, or if something happens and he gets really strong or something throughout this series. I'm willing to wait to see where this goes.
I think there definitely is an answer, but I'll wait to give it.
I believe there could be. I like the fact that when in the first episode, part of the reason it's so slow is you see him repeating this monotonous work, but it's not just monotonous. He has a like incredibly specific dull routine he does. It shows him he does his work. He cuts off his slice of meat. He wraps it and hide it. Though I kept expecting the work overseer to call him out on that. Kind of surprised that didn't happen, because it's super in the open. Like, it's not even that stealthily done. He just kind of does it. And considering they like cut pay down, which I liked that moment. That was the first indication of like he's not like, because they do the setup of, you know, a Jedi can't help but want to help, and then there's that scene is like almost immediately after that. So it had the nice setup of transitioning to that where he just looks at him and has that urge to be like, you're a douche. Like, but he's like, he just takes the money and leaves. But with that, you show that he has developed this routine. And what do people do? They create routines in day-to-day boring life. You do the same thing over and over and over. So it does a good job of like cementing, like he's doing something.
He's never not done this.
Yeah. So like, for the most part, I mean, first episode in general I liked. It was definitely slow. I know people who wouldn't like it because of that, but I liked what they were trying to translate with it. And I feel like for the most part, they did well. I do get Corione's points with the third sister. She definitely... I have mixed feelings on, depending on what they tried to convince me of with her. I thought the Inquisitors, like the rest of the Inquisitors, specifically the Fifth Son and the Grand Inquisitor, I liked their portrayals of like they're very much in the same understanding. Like the Fifth very much understood what the Grand Inquisitor's saying, doing, his intention with the whole scene, and it's consistently, like there's consistency in that of like, I understand what needs done, I will do what you need me to do. Like, they're on the same page while she's just doing her whack stuff. And so, but in the second episode, because I feel like the second can be picked apart more, because it has a little more divergence in a lot of ways. A lot of people complained that he didn't use his lightsaber because he could easily start dispatching people, but you're also trying to stay hidden, and if you start flashing around this bright, flashy blade that cuts through things, like, yeah, you can cut through people, but you also have become a beacon. Like, although you do have this child who just keeps yelling the word Jedi every time you turn around, incessantly. Just, oh, you are a Jedi. Are you a Jedi? Jedi. Like, oh, cool. Thanks, child.
Say it so the whole
Shut up.
Can hear.
Like, but the hand-to-hand combat was done really well, and they did something that I love to see in when combat scenes that I refer to and associate with Jackie Chan combat scenes, because he's one of the main people I've seen talk about it, though obviously other people have done it. And one of the things Jackie Chan always has done when he choreographs a fight scene is you can't have a hero, like in a fight scene, particularly hand-to-hand, the hero can't be overly powerful, like especially if you're fighting a group of people. The hero, there's no way for one man to fight 20 dudes nonstop and take no hits. It's not happening. It's not realistic. So you see this man who's used to using a saber, but has been trained otherwise, fighting people and taking hits because he's not using a lightsaber. If he was using a lightsaber, he could walk through this hallway, Darth Vader through the hallway, call it a day, find this child, cut the door open, like. But he's not doing that. He's trying to do things subtly. Like, I liked the scene in the drug shop where he like does, you know, mixes stuff together improperly, causes a distraction. Though when he walks in the next place, he immediately takes everything off because we got to see Ian McGregor's face, and then fights in there. And then there's the fight scene where he drops the dust he got from his totally not his daughter. Like there were some moments that I liked. Although on the flip side, when they're on the rooftop and he's having a shootout with these two bounty hunters, which someone made the point of. I like that he does miss a bunch because he's not a blaster user, so like he's using blasters, which is very not him.
But he's also never not looking backwards.
Yeah,
he's almost always every shot is pew pew.
But also
like
with
he's
that,
always looking at Leia.
One thing I could have brought, which I didn't think about in the dislike, that scene did bug me though, because you have the shootout with two bounty hunters at one point with him, and she is directly behind me. You're gonna convince me that you're missing him towards her with her in line, and you don't clip her? Like, she was literally in the path of fire, nowhere to be hit, and I'm like, you have set this child in your path of fire.
her Jedi Force power is plot armor,
dude. Like, I mean, I will say I did see some people complain about her like possibly intuitively using her Jedi like Force abilities, and they're like, that was never canon. She didn't start figuring out how to do that until I was like, yeah. Well, the thing with my dispute with that is she doesn't understand or start to realize that she can do it until those was it episode
Luke trains
5?
her after episode 6.
Yeah, but my point to that is like up until I think it's episode 5 or 6, she doesn't realize she can do it. That does not mean she couldn't have been intuitively doing these things.
No,
if you don't know and you think it's normal,
Anakin Skywalker was 100% Force. And that means that Leia and Luke are 50% Force each.
Part of what gets him noticed that, like, in the first place,
most powerful beings besides Anakin, who's half a person himself.
So right now is a perfect example of why we really should contemplate going to a 3-hour show. Because we're down to our last 10 minutes, and Chris, I want to give you a chance to express what you did like. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I liked Leia. To be honest, it's a big risk casting a child actor in a prominent role, let alone an established character like Leia. And I don't know for sure if I like it in terms of it wasn't necessary for the story, but I like it in terms of I like her in her portrayal of Leia. I believed she was Leia the whole time. Felt like Leia to me, and honestly, the scene between her and Senator Organa. If you told me that George Lucas himself directed that scene, if he was like a secret guest director in that scene, I would have believed you, because when I saw that scene, it felt so much like George Lucas to me that it just kind of struck me. I almost watered up a little bit, and maybe it seems like a not like. Really, not the first scene that everyone would think of as that was the best scene in Disney Star Wars. Maybe it's not the best scene in Disney Star Wars, but it was kind of one of my favorites, to be honest. So I like that, and I think there's potential there to lean into that dynamic.
Yeah. So now we've got. I assume that's otherwise you pretty much hit everything. We've got Strange New Worlds giving us a strong father character with Dr. Mbenga, and now we have now we're seeing that same kind of similar but in its own special way with Bail Organa, and I think that's fantastic to kind of see that come back into the mainstream. That yes, you can have strong there are bad parents out there, and that's fine to have stories about Darth Vader being a bad dad, but it's also there's also good ones out there. So
don't forget Owen is portrayed as being a strong father figure, as an uncle, an adoptive father. That's a new one.
He comes
so we
off,
haven't seen a positive adoptive father, and then not to mention Bail Organa is not just being a strong male father, he's also being an educational male father. He knows the wit that he is raising. He knows all of Padme's accomplishments. He admired her forever. She was one of his greatest friends in the Senate, and so that to me goes to one of the points that a lot of people complain about, how does Obi-Wan and Organa actually have any kind of war connection, and it's Padme. like everything Padme did, Organa was near, which means every time Organa needed any kind of help, the first Jedis he relied on was Obi-Wan. And so while we may not have any episodes that show us those experiences, like as far as senators go, they very all clearly had their favorite Jedi to call. A lot of them liked Anakin because he was supposed to be the best, and Palpatine was like pimping him out. But like Obi-Wan was called on by the faithful, by the like, because as far as knights and masters go, Obi-Wan was the most mobile.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of chance for them to have a lot of wartime relationship on various levels. Maybe not direct conflict experience, but at the same time, as close as you can get between a senator and an actual frontline general.
Yeah, and I will also say this too. I really like that all of the trailer footage has pretty much been played out at this point. Most of what we saw in the trailers, we saw in the first couple episodes. So we're going into uncharted territory, and I'm cool with that. That's probably the way that shows should be teased from now on. Just show the first couple episodes in your trailer, and then let us decide if we want to watch the rest. But also don't like have scenes in there for expectations, because that was one of the downsides of playing the Severance trailer over and over. Like, oh hey, that hasn't happened yet. Oh hey, that hasn't happened yet. Oh hey, we get to look forward to that. And it's like, well, that kind of ruins the experience a little bit. So, all right, any last real quick positive thoughts for Kenobi before we hit the final? Well, we're pretty much in the final home stretch at this point, but
yeah, right.
I mean, just as a really quick note, obviously it's Ian McGregor, and we know he's a good actor, and we know he knows Obi-Wan and all that jazz. I will say, the very end, when the third sister tells him about Anakin, his selling on that was so good, and the ending, staring at him and then transitioning over to Vader, dude, that I was like, all right, listen, you dude.
The thing that gets to me, so the best point I think is the fact that like Obi-Wan did take a second to save Leia, but like in reality it was maybe 2 seconds. Like he had to reach out for the Force, grab it again, and then the way that he caught her was in the most masterful way, right? Like he brought the Force up to her and then brought her back down, gentle as a feather. Like that was no Luke trying to get a rock up on another rock. That was like, and it took him all of like 3 seconds, and he just had to decide like, is it okay to risk getting caught? Because I don't know if anybody noticed, the moment the Inquisitors found out that the third sister had done her job, they were like, get a brigade down here immediately. So like the reason why Obi-Wan is hiding is because as soon as his name shows up on the charts, everyone's looking for him, and he just knows that that's because of his relationship to Palpatine and being a member of the Jedi Council, right? Like he literally is on the most wanted list, and so he knows that, and that's why he's playing so discreet. And I think that like a lot of people aren't paying attention to that. Like all throughout all of Star Wars, everybody who wants to remain anonymous wears a cloak. So like, yeah, he may be wearing his saber on his hilt, but like the only reason people like Leia know about that is because their family knew about it, and they tell family stories at bedtime. Humble brags, you know, inspiration for your children to grow up to and live up to. Like Organa and his wife experienced that. And they also like, that explains a lot of like why Leia's character is so aggressive, is because she grew up as an adopted, loved child. Like these parents are actively teaching her how to be a senator, like Richie Rich child, which was the last thing I really wanted to commend the show for, was the fact that like we finally have a visible wage gap. Like in the rest of the series as it's known, we've only really seen like the opera, but now we've seen like a rich person's droid, and it's like the ultimate iPhone, right? Whereas like every other droid we've met is borderline a bucket of bolts.
Okay, I'm just putting this out there now. All my headcanon now reads that all the stormtroopers, when they're issued their playing deck, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the Jack of Diamonds. Called it.
Dude, that's it. It has to be.
Yep.
Like that's what I mean though, is like but he does everything to portray that, and I think that's like one of the main reasons why he has no connection to the physical force, is because like he knows how much that just one peeping Tom, which the Jawa came from the back of his house. It didn't come from the front door, it came from the back door. So that means like if he was practicing yoga at any time, moving rocks, people are seeing that. But the moment that he finds out Anakin's alive and he gets on the ship, he goes, Anakin. And Anakin wakes up in his tank, which means that like he's been actively flexing the force this whole time, trying to talk to Qui-Gon. Like, so he's flexing the internal mental meditative force that he can control, but he can't like actually do his lifting rocks and stuff because that's going to get witnesses. Witnesses want money, especially in the Outer Rim, especially next to Luke. So he's like completely discreet about it.
He's passively connected to the Force before he reaches out for Leia, the same way Donnie Yin's character in Rogue One was connected to the Force. He didn't have the power, but he could hear and understand it, and so he's not being overtly about. So yeah, I think that's a correct assessment. But unfortunately, that's about all the time we're going to have to discuss it this week.